Well, I want to welcome everybody to 2B of this two-part series and get off my chest. We're talking about both sides of the political spectrum. Liberals we talked about in 2A with personal accountability, and conservatives we're going to be talking about today with not standing up. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I do want to share an important announcement that Mr. Blake Martin and I are working on Volume 2 of Discourse of the Common Man. We're setting it for June 6th at 4 o'clock p.m. If you are interested in joining, please contact me or him. If you have his methods of communication or through social media, please contact us. We would be more than happy to have you. I'm suggesting a little bit of a different format. I won't spoil it for you until it's official. But hopefully, with this one should be an interesting discourse. So hopefully we'll be able to get more people on the calls, and we'll go from there. So I do encourage you to go back and watch Volume 1 of Discourse of the Common Man, where Blake and I discuss the ruling of the Texas Supreme Court in the Episcopal Diocese versus TEC. This is what we discuss. We discuss the problems in the evangelical church today, what is facing them, especially when it comes to Scripture, and we did dabble in current events as well, including somewhat on George Floyd. But it all kind of circled back into Christianity and the Bible. So hopefully we're doing something like that again, where it's just a discussion. Hopefully Volume 2 looks a little bit different than Volume 1, and we'll go from there. I do also encourage you to go like and subscribe to the channel, and like the other videos that we posted. I posted number 1, or a welcome video. I posted number 1, which was discussing the Houston Astros cheating scandal. I posted number 2A, which was the liberals, part 1 of this series, which was liberals and personal accountability. So I think I've got all the introduction stuff out of the way. Let's get into it. Conservatives, who I'll tell you my political story again, just to recap. So, about 2015 or so, about 4 years ago, I consider myself very moderate. I've always considered myself someone that likes to hear both sides of a story before I make a decision on something. And I think I've said this multiple times, but I'll reiterate. And so, I do this with my siblings. So, my brothers are fighting over something. I'll pull them apart and I'll say, here, you say something. Okay, you get that done. What's your side of the story? And I like to merge the sides and see which which one works better in either one's favor, or if it just doesn't work at all. And I think that's how political discourse should work. You say what one side has to say, and you see what the other side has to say, and you put them together and see which ideas are superior, or if those ideas work at all. Or if you can mold them some way into a compromise that would work for everybody. And that's how political discourse should work in this country. And it's not, because liberals, as we refer to in 2A, have an issue with personal accountability. Everything is somebody else's fault. And conservatives are refusing to stand up for what they say they believe in. Let me give an example. I don't know, George Floyd. Okay, we'll say George Floyd. A lot of stuff is coming to light here. Definitely there's need for reform in our police system, but some of the ways that are being suggested by doing that, especially on the left, are not entirely beneficial for everyone all around. So, but that's a different subject for a different time. We're talking about conservatives today. Conservatives are being, for lack of a better term, they're kissing up in an attempt maybe to sway more voters to their side. I see this with a lot of conservative or Republican politicians, namely Mitt Romney. Mitt Romney, who was the Republican nominee for the presidency in 2012 and lost in a blowout to Barack Obama, is now a senator in, I believe it's Utah. And he has been very anti-Trump, very on, and I've personally believed, just kind of a joke, I think he's still kind of salty about losing in 2012. But again, I digress. So, my issue with conservatives, and myself included, is that we are not willing to stand up for what we believe is right. We pander. and that's an issue. That's why I tell people, I say, I'm not a racist. I'm definitely not a racist, but I'm not a kiss ass either. I don't believe that because I am white, I am better than somebody else. I don't think that is right at all, period. But at the same time, you do not get to tell me that I have to kiss up to somebody I don't even know just for the sole purpose of skin color. Paying them back for something my ancestors did, and my ancestors didn't own slaves, by the way. Paying for something my ancestors did to their ancestors, which I don't even know, if I met somebody today, whose great-great-grandfather was a slave, chances are my great-great-grandfather wasn't his slave owner. So I should not have to pay reparations for him. But the thing about conservatives, they kiss up when it matters most. There are issues repeatedly that have come up that conservatives will always make a rush to judgment and even make some liberal arguments, leftist arguments, side with them. Instead of maybe taking a more conservative approach to things. Maybe, for example, if you want to say, okay, we need reform in the police system, we absolutely do. How do you solve that? Longer training hours, definitely. Things, especially longer training hours. Longer training hours, I can't emphasize that enough. You should not have, only 300 hours to become a cop. And I think that's definitely true because you go through a 12-week process alone to become a United States Marine, and that's only private first class. You're not even done serving in the military yet once you've graduated from basic training. And so why do we not hold our police to that high standard? I think we can agree there that is an issue that conservatives are not willing to either compromise on, that they want no police reform at all, or they want too much police reform, too much we're policing the police and they can't do their jobs, or B, that conservatives are just trying to pander to one side to get votes. They're trying to pander to the people that are pushing this to say, hey, we can do this too. We're the cool kids. And so as a result, they try to sway votes that way. That is my issue with conservatives. We're not accountable to ourselves. And like I said, I did a whole video, 2A, on personal accountability on the left. But while there's more of it on the right, there's not that much more of it. And let me explain why. Because on the right, we don't practice what we preach. We don't have conservative values anymore. We just have classical liberal values. And I think that as conservatives, we are trying to preserve the Constitution. We're trying to preserve, the things that the founding fathers fought, bled, and died for. We believe that we are for these things, but yet when something comes up that challenges our worldview, we cower, and we shouldn't do that. In the face of political discourse, you have to rise up and meet the challenge, no matter how weak or ridiculous your argument is. For example, if because I don't like communism. Obviously, most people don't. But if you had a communist on one side of the aisle and you had a free market capitalist on the other side of the aisle, the free market capitalist has more evidence that his system has worked over time than the communist does, because the communist has torn down entire national economies. And as a result, people are eating their own crap in the streets. And so who would have the better chance of winning an argument? Would it be the capitalist who says that, through an individual pursuit of wealth, you are able to accomplish more, and we are able to accomplish more for the collective in general through that individual pursuit of wealth? Or the communist that says everything should be everybody else's and some people are more equal than you? I think that the capitalist there has a more logical reasoning, and as a result, that the capitalist would win. But the argument is that not who would win there. The argument is that even if your views are flawed and have been voided before, you still have to rise up to meet that challenge. We quit before we even throw the towel. That's what it is. I don't know if you've seen this video before. But there's a video of a boxer who, as soon as the bell rings, he just leaves the arena. And that's how conservatives handle political discourse. We both, we're the group of facts. We like to use facts over feelings, and we do. But most of the time when we are met with any form of opposition, especially, even if we've done our research, if we're met with any form of opposition and says, well, but yada, 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 then we throw in the towel before we even throw a punch. And that's not how political discourse is supposed to work either. You have no personal accountability on one side, and you have a cowardice on the other side that is not willing to rise up and meet each other, perhaps in the middle, to say, I don't agree with you, but I will respect your right to hear what you say, and I will respect your right to say it. And then you move on and you find a compromise that benefits everybody. That is the perfect system, and conservatives have lost that because they are cowards in that they are refusing to stand up for what they believe in, and liberals have lost it because they have no personal accountability to themselves. Everything is somebody else's fault. The political spectrum is so screwed up to the point where even now third-party candidates are seeming more logical than some of the people we have elected to power. I understand why people are independents. A lot of people are independents. I understand that. I didn't really understand it before. We'll just pick a side that you would morally agree with. It's not a big deal. I understand that now. I understand why independents are independents, not liberal or conservative. Now you kind of have the more conservative independents, you have the more liberal independents, but that's again a story for a different day. The thing about conservatives is that they are unwilling to stand up for what they believe in, and they are presented as cowards that are unwilling to present a point while boasting that they are the party or the group of facts. That's bothersome. It's one thing to say that you're the part or the group of facts and then use those facts in a political discourse. That's good. That's what's supposed to happen. It's something else to say that you have those facts in and you don't use them. Right? That'd be like, if I'm teaching myself guitar and I get really good at it, and I just, as soon as I master the last song that I want to play on a guitar, I just put the guitar away for 50 years, and I don't see it until I'm 95. And I'm like, oh, I remember that. And then I don't remember any of it. That's the thing, that conservatives have mastered the art of political discourse. They mastered the art by saying the very thing that's in the First Amendment. I don't agree with what you say, but I will fight to the death for your right to say it. They won that. They mastered that art, and then what did they do with it? We left it aside. We just trashed it aside until we found it convenient to try and use it again, and by the time we tried to use it again, it was too late for us to use it. We were cowards, and we refused to do anything about anything, and as a result, we have become apathetic. We have become apathetic. Even with the election of Donald Trump, conservatives, you can kind of see, are becoming a little more lazy. They're not really putting any forth new arguments that would help sway the other side. And that is bothersome. Because if you quit before you throw in the towel, again, as I will reiterate, you cannot have proper political discourse. And so, with conservatives, as we said before, conservatives are unwilling to fight for what they believe in. They're unwilling. They throw in the towel before they even throw a punch. And then lastly, it's just a bunch of pandering that happens when something happens on the side. And on one side or the other. There's a lot of pandering that goes on. So, I think that's the last of it. So I thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Hopefully we will have Discourse 2 prepped up. I will make an announcement on social media about how we're going to be handling Discourse 2. So please stay tuned for that. Again, like I said, it'll be July 6th at 4 p.m. We're either doing one format or another format that I'm trying out, and we'll see how it goes. But if we can't get format 2 to work, we can definitely get format 1 to work again. And hopefully we'll get some more people to just have a discussion and just kind of hang out. We don't get to see a lot of each other these days, so I look forward to that video. But until then, thank you guys. God bless, and we'll see you on July 6th.